Hey guys, what's going on? John Maz here, back with Coastal Crypto and a headache of a machine to review and go over with you guys. Um, Now, we are one of the few suppliers out there that have access to the M2, the Multminer M2s. There has been some major headaches with this machine, setup-wise, pool-wise, hash rate-wise. I'm going to try to go over as much of it as I possibly can today. So this video may be a little bit long. I do apologize. If it goes too long, I will break it up into two parts, but let's try to get everything into one single video. I want to first go over setup with these machines and some information based upon what we've seen in our Discord group. Now, if you're not a part of the Discord group, I recommend you check that out in the description down below. We have a great community going on over there, talking about issues and tuning and some of the other stuff going on with these M2 multiminers. But we're going to go over that. We're going to go over setup. We're going to go over some of the settings and how I've figured out how to tune and overclock this machine. And then I'm going to show you guys how to get Radeon bitstream on these machines. Because yes, the Radeon bitstream is out for these machines already. It just came out today, May 22nd. So I want to go ahead and get that on here as well, because it is a little bit tricky depending on the machine. Not all machines are prone to the upgrade through the web GUI. So there is a workaround for that. I will show you how to do that as well. So make sure you stay around for the whole video. If you have questions, comment down below or join the Discord group. Join the conversation. It's huge, guys. Help each other out, and let's kind of dive into it and see what we got going on. All right, so right off the bat, here is my multiminer that we have at the farm. This was one that actually came with a bad board, so we've been kind of beating the crap out of it. And so I've taken it apart. You guys have seen it in pieces. We have gone through and I've messed with as many settings as we possibly can. You can see right at the top, it is connected to a Radeon pool. So it is hashing on Radeon. I will go over all that here in a second, but I wanted to show you guys a little bit of what's going on with this machine. These machines are tricky to find through your IP. So when you get this machine, you're going to go ahead and plug it in, plug in your Ethernet cable, plug in your power, and you're going to use advanced IP scanner to try to find this machine. It doesn't always pop up. If you have access to your router, maybe log into your router and find it that way. That's how I had to do it. There is on their website. So this is the 1024 miner. This is the Multminer official website. They do have some tools available. They do have an IP reporter. I have not played with this yet. If anybody else has tried it, let me know. Comment down below whether it works or not. I have not. What I had to do for mine for hours at the farm is I had to reset the machine. So I'm going to pull up some of the files for this machine now. I'm going to go over that as well, and we're going to see what we got going on inside that and what I had to do to get this machine online. So if you're having trouble connecting to your machine, these are some of the steps that I had to go through to get there. So again, if you haven't tried this IP reporter, let us know how it works for you guys. Again, I haven't tried it. Advanced IP scanner does work for some people, but what I've had to do is I actually had to go into the SD card. So here is the SD card. This is a saved version of it. Obviously, the machine is running in the background. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but I went ahead and made a copy of the SD card just so I had a backup to be safe. I'm going to go ahead and open the miner. And we have a couple different bins here, ETC, and right under ETC is the net application for this miner. So if you pull this up and you open up this text file, there might be some information in here. I've erased mine. I recommend doing the same. Delete that file. It may help you. Obviously, save a copy of it just in case if it doesn't work for you. For me, I had to go ahead and erase that file for it to work for me, for my router to be able to pick up these machines. There was a default IP static to the machine that I couldn't get access to, so I had to go in and erase it through this file. But there's a lot of information in these SD cards and setup and overclocking. Let's get into it now. Let's kind of dive into it. Hopefully your machines are up and running. If you're having issues getting it up and running, again, check out the link in the description down below to the M2 Discord chat. Lots of help over there. Lots and lots of help. So here is your underlying structure for your SD card. A lot of the stuff here on the front or the main folder here, don't touch it. Leave it alone. You're going to see some information here, the boot image and so on. I recommend not touching this section of it, but we're going to go ahead and open up Miner and open up data. Now, I am using Microsoft Visual Studio to view and edit these files. You can also edit and view them in a text file as well. I just found that Windows Visual Studios was easier for me. Let's go ahead and pop open the Caspa JSON file, not the bitstream, but the Caspa file. So this is the what the miner is referring to when it starts to mine. So let's take a look at this and see what we got going on. Now there is some information in here that may look familiar to you guys, may not look familiar to you guys, but this is some of the, I'm going to just kind of sort this here real quick. So here's your bit file. So it's telling the miner to pull the bit file from this location. This is what it's called. We are running a Caspa algorithm and mine type Caspa, obviously. And then we have our pool and our URL. If this information doesn't look right to you, this is a default setting from the manufacturer. This is the manufacturer's pool information. You can leave it, you can delete it. It's not going to make a huge difference. I have just left it because it's not hurting me. Support small manufacturers is kind of my mentality. So that's what's in this folder. We're not going to go too in depth into changing any of this stuff here. What we are going to do, let's go ahead, don't save this one. We're going to go back, etc, and then we're going to run, open the run configuration file. So this file does change. Again, I'm going to sort it so I have a little bit easy access to see what's going on here. This is the OG file. This isn't the tune that I'm running, by the way. But this is what the machine is going to revert back to when it comes time to tune and set up and start hashing on your machine. So right now I've pulled up the run configuration file, and last time this machine was running, when I copied this SD card, it was running Caspa. So you can see we have my Caspa address, the pool that I was linked to for Caspa. You can also see my IP address and so on in the Mac and all that stuff. We also see where it's pulling the bit stream from, and we're seeing the core voltage for each board. Now this right here, the core voltage, see if I can highlight it, is where you're going to start tuning your machines. These are all in millivolts. Okay, so you're not changing it. It's not 1,000 volt, it's a small fraction of it that's going to each individual chip is how I believe it's being interpreted. I may be wrong. I'm not an expert on this stuff, guys. This is just kind of what I've discovered playing around. So please correct me in the description down below or over the Discord or on our website, coastalcryptomining.com. So we can go ahead and we can change these. We started off very small. We did increments of 25 and 50. After I figured out that they were millivolts and not actual voltages or microvolts, they're millivolts, we went ahead. So 1,000 millivolts is only 1 volt, I believe. Let's pull up a calculator here before I continue, just to make sure I'm not speaking incorrectly. Okay, yeah, so 3,000 millivolts is 3 volts, so 1,000 is 1, 2, 3 is 1 voltage. So this is the voltage going to each individual chip. So I'm going to crank this up to, let's say, 3,000 for each of them. Right, and there is actually a voltage overprotection for the voltage. I have it currently set to 0 on this one. I've tried 50. The max you can set it to is 256. It's going to take some fine tuning. Each individual machine is different. Each individual chip is different. We have found that these machines came directly from the manufacturer with very little testing. So we've seen bad control boards. We've seen bad hash boards. These machines really need to be run, and they need to go through a proper heat cycle for these chips to fully, uh, you know, integrate into the boards that they're on, to flow or reflow, if you will, on these machines. Um, I've laid mine down on the side just so as it heats up and it reflows, we don't have any issues with any of the ball solder balling and all that stuff. Might be something you guys want to recommend as you go through your heat cycles. But okay, we've gone ahead and we've edited the core voltage to 3000. You can see some of your alarms that are in here. We have your fan speed. We have your temperature alarms. There's 88 there. And alarm temperature. You can adjust these if you want. You can also enter your pool addresses and your usernames here if you want to as well. And you can go ahead and save and change it here. Obviously, this is the OG file, so I am not going to save this one. But I do have a modified file that we can look at. So pull up the modified file, mod 1. What I've done is I've been copy and pasting these modified firmwares directly to SD cards. I bought a bunch of them just so I can try different configurations and I wouldn't risk altering my original SD card. Original SD card I have not touched. I can always revert back to it. All my modifications are done on a different SD card. I'm not modifying the stock SD card. I'm leaving that one the same. I just copied the stock firmware. So we've gone ahead, we've altered this one. Ooh. Run config. And I believe this modification is at 2000. So again, let me go ahead and sort this so we can have an easier time reading it. So we can go ahead and set this one to 3. And we can go ahead and save it. And we're good to go. Now I can go ahead, close this out. And what I would do is I would copy all of this information onto a fresh SD card that is formatted to FAT32. And then obviously unplug your machine and plug it back in to run it. That's how I've been modifying these machines. That's how I've been overclocking it to find different settings. On average, I've been getting between 3.5 to 4 gigahash per board. That's right within the range of the manufacturer spec when they sold us the machines, sold Coastal Crypto the machines, and to you, the customers as well. The 1000 millivolts that's coming with this firmware seems to be the low hash mode. Low hash mode is kind of just the default to these machines. I don't know what the case is for that. It's just that it is what it is. We do have an example of the beta firmware. I'll make another video on the beta firmware itself. That's how I was able to kind of decipher some of this information from this SD card and what we're seeing on the actual GUI for this machine. Let me pull that back up. So very, very basic here on the GUI, and we have access to, the English version of it. I think that's where a lot of things were taken out when they added the interpretation of the translation to English. They took out a lot of information on these machines. But let's dive into the Radiant firmware, because I know a lot of you guys are here just for that Radiant firmware. Hopefully some of this information about overclocking and tuning machines and where to find that is a little easier for you guys to find it. Again, copy your SD cards, mess with the copied file. Don't mess with the actual SD card itself or the files on the SD card. Mess with the copies. I can't stress that enough. You always want something to fall back on. So I went ahead and I went over to the website here. You can see the firmware is available for the M2. We have the Caspa firmware, and we have the Radeon firmware. Now, this method that I'm about to show you, after I show you why I had to go that direction, it hopefully will help you get to better either Caspa firmware if you have older Caspa firmware, or you're having issues with the current firmware that's on the machine. This method works for both the Radeon update and Caspa, reinstalling that Caspa firmware. So I went ahead and already downloaded that file. Let me go ahead and pull it up here, and we'll get this up and running. We pulled up the firmware that is provided by the website, and we're going to hit upload. It usually takes a few seconds, and then I've been getting hit with this error for permission ownership of this file and not being able to be updated to this firmware. You may not have this issue if you got lucky with the beta firmware, but I found a workaround for people that have this particular firmware that I'm running, let's say the English version of the firmware, the English version of the GUI. So what I had to do is I went ahead and I downloaded this onto my desktop, and using WinZip, I went ahead and I extracted what was inside that flashable firmware file. So this is what is actually inside that tar file. So we can see we have the m2.ext JSON file, that's your configuration file. We have the location of the RxD, or the Radeon file, for the machine that picked it up for pool. And then we have our bit stream for the Radeon firmware itself. The Radeon algorithm itself for the bit stream. Now, I'm not touching this text file at all. I'm only concerned with these top 3 files. So now that we have them opened and pulled up using WinZip, we went ahead and we're going to open up our modified or our copied version of the firmware. Let's make a little more room here. And we're going to put these in their respective folders directly into the firmware and the SD card. So again, we're going to open up Miner. Let's start with bin. You can see RxD is already there. That's going to be this file right here. So we're just going to click it and drag it over and so on. I've already gone ahead and do that, so I'm not going to put a duplicate in there. So that's your first file you need to transfer over. Let's go back. Let's go to data. All right, so you can see some of the files are already in place. We have the MT, Cadena, Caspa, and so on. We're going to go ahead and copy the RX Miner bitstream file. And we're going to drag it over into this folder here. Now, the last one, now don't be confused because you already see some mt.caspa and Cadena and so on. Don't get confused. We don't want to add the JSON file here. What we're going to do is we're going to go back. We're going to go to ext, and then that is where you're going to add your JSON file, or mt.ext.radeon. You can add it in both locations. It doesn't make a difference. I just found it is easier for me to run it here. The Miner picks it up a little bit quicker that way. So now that all that information has been transferred from the decompressed firmware upgrade and manually added to the SD files, we can go ahead, power off our machine, power it back on, and we can go ahead and pull up all the information. Again, we're not going to have it pop up here at the top. It's a bug, right? It is what it is, but it is in the system. So if we go ahead and type in RxD, so if we type in, let's just go back, so type in Caspa, hit enter, the Caspa information that I have preset pops up. If we type in RxD, hit enter or hit submit, my Radeon information pops up. So it's already saved in the Miner, and I've entered in all the information. When you do this the first time around, you'll have the pool information will be correct, but you'll have a test. It'll say use -u for user, and it'll say test. Go ahead and change that to your Radeon wallet. Go ahead and hit submit for both locations, and give it a second for the machine to pop back up. Again, I just altered it, so it's going to take a second to pop back up here. Let's go ahead and refresh. Okay, we're connected. Again, you can see I only have one board, or obviously this machine is a bad machine. We're missing one, but it is connected to that Radeon hash pool address. It is working. We are seeing some hash rates. So let's go over to the pool and hit refresh here. It's going to be a little off because I did just reset it, but it is climbing as this bitstream sets into these chips. We are seeing better hash rate. Again, I'm getting 9.68 gigahash on 2 boards. Let me know what you guys are getting on your side. This is running 2000 core voltage for Radeon, altered for each individual bitstream that you are running. Each individual bitstream is going to have a different core voltage to really maximize this machine. These are FPGAs, guys. These are not ASIC machines. These really take some fine tuning to get them to be dialed in correctly. And every machine is different, just like every graphics card is different, or every ASIC chip is different. Join the conversation. I'm curious to see what your outcome is. I want to know what your guys' take is. I've been fighting with these machines and trying to help out customers. It's a small manufacturer with very little information about it and some serious language barriers. I do want to say thank you to everyone who has been patient with us dealing with these machines and everyone that has gotten them thus far. There is another batch coming out. It should have actually been released this past week. So hopefully we'll get some more in that are a little bit better quality. If you are having issues with your M2 machine, reach out to Mark or myself, and we'll help you get sorted with the warranty process because it is a headache. Again, Radeon is available. Caspa is available. You're going to have to fine tune it, each individual machine, play with that core voltage a little bit to really get these machines to optimize some of the settings. Be careful pushing your machines and overclocking the individual chips. Watch them on your GUI. There is an alarm set at 88 degrees Celsius. Be wary of that. There are, we have seen some issues with temperature sensors not reporting correctly. So take the average, look at your chip sensors, look at your chip temperatures, and just, be cautious. I don't like to push ours past, say, 72 to 75 degrees Celsius. So just be careful when you guys are overclocking your machines. I hope this video has helped. Please hit that like button, hit comment down below, share this video out. I know some of the other YouTubers that we work with have other videos on this M2 machine as well. Check them out. Compile as much information as you possibly can, and share what you've learned if it's something that we haven't discussed either on my channel or somebody else's. Until next time, guys, we appreciate you. You guys are awesome, and make sure you tune into our live stream on Wednesday for that first time every time special. Later, guys. Peace.